Has everyone had a chance to take a look at the agenda? Were there any changes to the agenda?
I move that we adopt the agenda.
So we have a motion to adopt the agenda. Is there a second?
Second.
We have a motion and a second to adopt the agenda. You didn't have any changes to that, right, Brandon? No. Okay. All those in favor say aye. Aye. Any opposed? And then as far as the minutes go, did everybody have a chance to take a look at the minutes from our last couple of meetings? I think they were.
Yeah.
I didn't see anything. Anybody else see anything? Okay, so without objection, we'll just adopt those minutes as prepared. Okay, so moving on to our first item. Brandon, did you want to give any kind of introduction or anything?
Oh, and maybe this should be on the minute to talk about it, but I know that we went before the council on the last item. The
last application, so
yeah.
You want a recap of that or summary?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. So we presented information from the council to the council with the information about the site and then COSAC's recommendations, shared the score with them. They did approve it to move on to round two. The way the resolution was written, it was at 10% funding level or another amount to be determined later if there's some sort of adjustment in the information provided or something like that. But it did list 10% as a percentage in the resolution. They didn't have a lot of comment, but they did, there was kind of the discussion about, it being scoring high in the ag category and not so great in the others. And so they came to a similar conclusion as COSAC. I don't know if Chris has anything to add.
The discussion was kind of similar to what we had been having then?
Yeah, it was similar focus, abbreviated. But, yeah.
Do you know how the vote went?
Sorry, what's that?
Do you know what the vote was?
I don't remember actually the exact number. I thought it was unanimous, but I'm not
Unanimous.
That's what I
Okay.
remember.
Yeah, sorry.
I heard that there was the concern, and so I didn't know how that affected voting.
No, I
There
think,
was just more questions, really. Sorry, Chris.
yeah, I was gonna say, I think, there are, members of the council that I would say are very supportive of agricultural easements. And so they, voiced those interests and, thought it was a great project to move forward. So that's all I remember, a couple of council members in particular.
And I think our percentage of funding reflected some of those feelings, and so.
Yeah, I think they raised the question in the context of, that I think they were also concerned with the 10% restriction or whatever.
Being too low.
Yes.
Really?
In terms of their feelings that, agriculture is a part of the bond
Yeah.
package, and it's okay that we have agricultural projects that
Yeah.
don't tick off some of the other boxes and other projects that do a better job of that. So, is that fair, would you say, Brandon?
I think so. I mean, they ultimately did settle on the 10% in the resolution, but there was the discussion about, it's okay to approve projects for agriculture.
Yeah.
That's good to know.
Yeah.
Because it didn't score hardly at all on the others, so.
But I mean, who knows if their commentary will change if it's a higher percentage or not, So.
Right.
No, I was glad to hear that there was any funding because of the scoring.
I mean, this is conjecture, but I would guess that the percentage prevented any serious objection.
Okay.
Yeah, because I do understand that some wanted more of the other besides just
Right.
agriculture.
Right.
They wanted.
And would, had it been not in there, would we have still gotten unanimous support?
Yeah.
Right, yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Well, it sounds like we were fairly well aligned with them in aggregate.
Yeah.
Then.
Well, it's out in the middle of the valley. There's very little traffic.
Yeah.
it's prime according to Utah's people.
And
It's
it
got-
goes
it's got-
back to UDAP is interested. I mean, that was a big one,
Yeah.
so.
Yep, they've got the support from other sources.
Right.
so- Which is great. Okay, let's see. So our next item was just on adopting the meeting schedule, right?
Yes.
Okay, and so Brandon sent that out. Has everybody had a chance to look? I looked, I didn't see any conflicts or problems that I'm aware of. Anybody have any concerns with that?
I'll just make a couple notes. The September meeting is proposed to be on the 8th because the 1st is Labor Day.
Right.
And then if you'll just note that I'm gonna remove the period from November. There's a period there instead of, that shouldn't be there, so. After November, so I'll just move that. I don't know if you have any other concerns.
No other editorial concerns?
I do think we just need to be in contact maybe through the summer as far as making sure we have quorums for meetings.
Okay.
That's a good idea.
Yeah.
But that can be on a case-to-case basis.
Any news in that regard, Brandon, on another COSAC member?
I haven't heard anything back.
Okay.
I have submitted all those, the recommendations I received, but haven't received any.
Okay. I'm sure they have their hands full with other stuff at the moment, so. We can do this a couple of different ways, but I can say without objection, we'll adopt the meeting schedule for the remainder of the year. Okay, so we'll do that. And then, let's see, item number 4 would be where we would pick up on our gateway parcel maps and tables, that sort of thing. But before we do that, do we want to talk about some of these other applications that have come in recently, Brandon?
Preliminary?
Yes, so maybe the agenda that I'm looking at has the
Preliminary.
parcel maps at item 6.
Oh, sorry, I was looking at the wrong thing.
That's all right.
That's my fault.
So we just had, these are very preliminary discussions. There's not a complete staff report, and I know in the past that there have been recommendations to ask the applicants to go talk to other funding sources before they come back, stuff like that. So these came in mid to late last week, right as I was preparing the agenda. So we have the property that's the Seth Alder Farm. It's a riparian area next to Blacksmith Fork River.
Mhm.
And I did have that up on the screen, just one second. I can get it and come back up.
It was just there, I saw it.
So, I believe,
And so we're talking about the Seth Alder Farm
yes.
application, okay.
And we do have, the applicant here. I believe that, she also has an agent here, and they had a question or two just about the property and the best way to
Great.
file an application.
Can you slide it up a little bit? It looks like there's a piece at the very, very bottom. I'm just kind of curious. Yeah, there's still more at the bottom there.
Other properties, you mean?
Yeah, that's part of it. No, Seth Alder Farm goes all the way.
Go south, yep. And then you can center it, pull to the right.
See where the 2 lines are, where it goes with the river?
Yeah.
That's the river.
Yep. And then it continues south.
As
What's
you
the
notice-
what's the furthest south it goes?
Go
Goes down to that
Right there.
little island that
that little
pokes out.
Okay,
right here, sideways
Yes.
in reverse, there you go.
Okay, so,
Utah.
So are you against right up against the Furman property?
I am,
That okay.
I am. Some of the property is
so
in
I'll move it to
Providence,
here.
and some of the Providence is in Melville.
Uh-huh.
We're trying to get a boundary adjustment there, but we're still in negotiations.
Correct.
So I think if you're welcome to discuss with the applicant any questions that they had just about,
Yeah.
you know, had questions about which application to file because they didn't want to conserve the whole property.
Right? Okay. Any other questions for staff before we turn it over to the applicant? Committee members?
Well, do you want me to tell you a little bit about it, and then you can ask, then you'll have
Sure.
a basis to ask questions.
You bet.
I'm Kathleen Alder. I'm the trustee for this large piece of property. It did belong to Seth Alder and my husband who passed away, Richard Alder. And I'm in the process of doing some development along there. But I understand the need to conserve riparian areas. And so with this UDOT grant, it's $4 million that will go along there. That's a perfect application there. And if we, I haven't determined how much of that we need to preserve, but I have an appraisal ordered so that I can get that information. And then I will come back to this group with a recommendation of what needs to be conserved and how best to do that. The land, my land really goes across the river. And it butts up against the North Atlantic import. That's Roger Dowley and his
Blackstone property.
Blackstone
Okay.
property. And Roger is totally on board with doing some on his side as well.
When you say doing conservation?
Some conservation
Okay.
on his side.
Carry over on his
So,
piece of it.
so that we have total conservation on both sides of the river, and it will be conserved and keep other people from trying to encroach on it and build on it.
So what, I guess just in general, what is the project you're proposing? How, does it extend from the Furman property to the south, all the way to 17th South?
1700, yes.
Yeah, okay. And is it just the river corridor that you're interested in conserving?
Yes.
And allowing, you know, the non-river areas, if you will, to be
And
developed,
right
that sort
now,
of
we'll
thing?
be able to let cows go on it. You know, we'll conserve it, but the cows will need to go on it. This is Alex Berenson.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
He's my agent.
I
He's
just,
gonna step in here.
yeah, I just want to tell a little bit about the river corridor. We think should be open. It's a beautiful piece, right?
Mm-hmm.
But it also, and around it is going to be developed. We're doing pre-development work right now to try to get the property to a place where it will eventually be built out and developed. But a big thing for Kathleen is she really cares about the land in the city. She's the province mayor, and she wants to restore and preserve that beauty and that scenic river space. We also have wetlands in there that need to be mitigated and some other things, but our goal and vision is to put a trail system along that river so that people can actually access it and enjoy it. And it's just it's gonna take some money to do that. And so I think the difference with this type of project is it's not like an idle project that's gonna sit there and the money is just gonna be going to the landowner. It would be used to build trail and provide
And it will be
access to the entire
totally-
community.
Totally open
Yeah.
to people. We want people to walk along there. We want people to enjoy how beautiful it is. There are sandhill cranes, there are all sorts of birds of prey that are in there. There's a lot of trees. You know, the county and city went through, well, it's probably the county, went through and cleaned up that river area, pulled out a whole bunch of sandbars. Well, guess what? They're all back.
Yeah.
But they cut down some of the old deadwood, and we've continued to cut down old deadwood, but we want people to enjoy it.
So, tell me about the UDOT project and what UDOT's got going on that property.
Landis will give you that
Okay.
information, because he's over that area.
I'm gonna sit down and let these guys, but
No, let's get a lot of.
Is it okay? What, can
We'll
I
just
add
get
a
the whole
couple-
audience.
Yeah.
Can I add a couple other things?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
I know that Furman's piece received some funding from this open space deal, which is great. I think it's awesome. The only thing is you can't see it, right? Like along the highway you can, and that
But
river.
not along the river.
But I think then, one other thing that's my vision, and this is, you can call this personal, but I think it's for the community too. I think it's an awesome benefit for me. They talk about these UDOT grants. Our goal is to be able to connect, basically, so that you'd have connections eventually from Bonneville Shoreline, down by Ridgeline High School, across the highway, into this piece eventually, up north, and then by Macy's up north, you'd have another underpass potentially, and have this big loop that's a community that interconnects. And then also interconnecting in the Logan Cities trails from this point as well.
Yeah, the talk is to try to connect that to the river trail, right?
Yeah.
From Zollinger Park also, there is a trail that comes along Zollinger Park and then that comes down through, it goes through the apartments.
Mm-hmm.
And,
In front of the new Chick-fil-A by Macy's,
Right.
which would connect to this.
and because I am a partner in Macy's, I also want to see what we can do along those wetlands to provide a trail for people to walk along there and enjoy that. But it all takes cash. Right, Kendra?
So the UDOT piece, we have been slated on UDOT's construction calendar. They're gonna build a trail along this piece. It'll go from the soccer complex parking lot to the north of this property, and it'll run all the way down to the high school.
So that's where that double line intersects with the road. Right across from there is a soccer parking, and then soccer fields on the other side of that.
Oh, wait, is that what you're talking, Lance?
Yep.
Okay.
So the conservation easement we're talking about is to go adjacent to the trail.
The trail will be.
The trail will be on
The
the,
trail would be on
the
conservation
property.
easement.
So they, when we discussed with the applicant a week or two ago, they talked about a strip maybe potentially 100 feet wide, maybe different, and then the trail would be inside of that broader corridor. And I think part of the question was, I don't know if you're still thinking this, but should they file a trails application or a standard application? If it's a trails
Yeah,
application.
So UDOT is not paying for this?
UDOT's paying for construction, they don't pay for land acquisition.
Right.
So this would be a bigger piece to essentially make this into a park space along the river that the trail would go through.
So
That's where our question is, should the landowner submit an application for the land, or should we just do a wide trail easement that would include the river corridor and bring on Blackstone as a piece of this as well?
Part of the goal is to obtain funds to do it too, and working with Blackstone and these guys. So I guess it's a logistical question, right, Landis, that we're asking like, hey, we don't wanna just take those funds for the landowner. We wanna take those funds to provide a public easement and a public trail along the river and potentially mitigate.
Public space.
And
for people
public
to
open
use.
space, but also use it to potentially mitigate some of that river so that it's actually feasible to build a trail and so on, if that makes sense.
So it sounds like the question, like there's a proposal that this could be 100 feet wide. Or it could be the width of,
It would be
The
the
UDOT.
entire, frankly, it would be the entire river corridor and including like X amount on the bank. So say it's like 50 feet of either side of the bank. And we don't have an exact, but it would be basically the river
who,
corridor.
Yeah, because all of that area, all of that property is within the floodplain. It's within the 100-year floodplain. And so whatever development you're proposing to do, you know, you're gonna have to mitigate for the floodplain stuff and that sort of thing.
We understand.
And you know, this, obviously setting some of that floodplain aside would help do that, obviously.
For sure, and I think that the plan is, like, development-wise is so that we can actually go in and we're gonna have to mitigate some of the river. We just know that, just to make it, she's saying that, as Kathleen said, the bank's shit.
Sure.
That's why I have property on the other side of the river, is because originally it was one
That's right. Yeah.
part of the river, and now the river has changed
Yeah,
course.
it's
And
migrated.
so,
The river migrates across its floodplain, yeah.
But all the parties along this section that fall for peace, including Blackstone and Roger Schmidt both sides the best we can for open space.
So
Yeah.
the trail
And the trails would sit inside.
would come through UDOT for the trail to be built, but then there's lots of other stuff that has to be done along there. If we're gonna do a 100-foot swath, we're gonna have to do some additional things to make that happen. Now, this is totally way preliminary,
Right.
but I wanted to introduce you to the concept. I wanted you to understand what we're trying to do and just kind of plant some seeds for what will happen. Now, as you look at 17, put your cursor on 1700 South,
Gotta find it first.
just right straight down from the top.
Well, I can't find the cursor, there we go.
Oh, minor detail. Okay, that's 1700 South, all along the edge of the farm, from the red house and the barn, all the way it's just to the bridge. Is it over the bridge? The sidewalk is 8 foot wide. Then there's some sidewalk that is only 4 foot wide.
Right.
So,
Yeah, it does
you know,
vary.
that needs to be improved, but we'll be working with people to try to get that done.
Right.
So
Logan
that
City's
trail
aware of
system,
that gap.
what?
Logan City's aware of that gap,
Okay.
and they're planning on opening up their trail master plan this year, the next, and they'll include that as a priority project to widen that sidewalk, so this trail would tie into the Logan River Trail.
Right, and so it goes across the highway, 8991, and goes over to the Logan River Trail. So this adds a ton more room, walkability for our citizens, and being able to be in a really nice forested,
Yeah.
natural place.
Now, one of the things on our trail application is what the city, and you're in an awkward position on this, is what the city's coming with to the table with is what for us to participate.
And of course, I recuse myself anytime there's anything going on.
Yeah. So
I
that
can
would
go out the window.
that would be something like, you know, as a you know, I know Logan City's looking for some a part, and they're looking at for their application, like what are we going to put into this? So that would be something.
Is there a match? Is there a specific amount, or is it just like, hey, what are you throwing up? I mean, you guys gotta have skin in the game, so do something.
Yeah, and I mean, a little bit depends on like what it is and what your relation, you know, you've got 2 cities, it looks like, involved in this one.
For now.
So that's something, you know, all things to consider. If it's gonna be a wider corridor, we probably need, additional outside funding rather than it being a trail piece, right? Meaning, like NRCS money, if it's a wide space,
I've spoken with those folks.
you have?
Actually, I'm the chair of the Leary and Callisterman.
So,
Potential problem. But I understand all the stuff that needs to be done, but I wanted to introduce you
Yeah.
in Cache Valley to what we're talking about here, so that you can be thinking of that. This is totally for the good of the citizens of Cache Valley. This doesn't enrich my pocket at all. But why not preserve this? Why not make it available? Why not keep it open for people to be able to go along there and fish? And to look at the wildlife,
yeah.
and to have, and that area, see where the white marks are in there, just right in the middle?
Mhm.
There's a scout group every year that goes and camps there like they're camping in the canyon. Because that's kind of what it's like. It's so pretty.
So I guess my 2 cents on this is like, it seems like if it was a trail application, we'd probably only be looking for, a 20-foot easement or something like that. But I mean, this sounds bigger than that.
It will probably
And
be big.
to me, it makes more sense that it would be an open space application as opposed to, that allows for a trail.
With the trail right away.
With a
yeah.
trail
Right.
through it, yeah,
Right.
yeah.
And I've spoken, I've talked with the State Conservation Board, and they would allow a trail, that would not be a problem, so.
Sure, yeah, I mean, you can,
Something we're putting a building on it.
it's your call, as the landowner to say what you would be willing to allow and that sort of thing, and obviously, we love building on previous and other projects and stuff like that, so this works great for that, right? We're adding more connected conservation space.
With the ability to see the other conservation piece
Yes,
too from it,
exactly.
you know, I mean.
Sure, of
You
course.
did bring that up and I didn't think
Well,
much.
you can
That's a
see
big
it and
deal,
go,
though.
oh, I wish we could go over
Yeah.
there.
I would, it's a big deal to see, Joe has a lot of land that,
Yeah.
and I think that's a big deal that the public gets to see what their tax dollars pay.
Yeah.
But, and I trailed off, I'm sorry, Kathleen, I didn't mean to, but
Oh, you did too.
as far as the, so if it's open space submittal, would it include multiple applicants and can it? So like if we included Blackstone, and there's one other landowner there, can we submit as a group?
I mean,
So that
we
we
would
can
like
have
that.
conservation.
We would like that. I mean, it requires coordination amongst the landowners or whatever. And the question would be, you know, because I would think the easement would be executed for each landowner, not one easement for
But
one
anytime
project.
you have collaboration between individuals, that is the best.
Sure, absolutely. Yeah, so I think if you guys can figure out how to make that work,
Yeah.
that's ideal.
What is the current UDOT alignment thought?
So it's kind of depending on these conversations. We have, UDOT has two proposed alignments. One is once you get to Blackstone's southern property, jump over to the river and then cross onto the Alder property and follow the river up from there.
So it'd be that North Atlantic imports, below the,
You'd scroll down where it says North Atlantic in 001.
oh, way down further,
way
okay.
down there.
Yeah, so that's.
So more
since-
river than,
Since Joe's application came in, Blackstone bought the piece just north of the Furman property. So we
And
would
he's
use
working on
that.
the Matthews piece, so it might just be two applicants. who
Yeah.
get that.
So I'm on the west side of the river, and Blackstone is on the east side of the river.
okay.
So he bought the one piece that is right next to, well, part of it is next to mine.
Can you slide to that?
Yeah, can you guys
Yeah,
scroll
can you-
down a little?
Sorry, where do I need to go?
There's
Just, yeah, right there,
right
yep.
there. There's a little sliver.
Yeah,
portion.
yeah, we've discussed this sliver before.
This is a difficult sliver. Because Joe's trying to
Well, it's a
claim,
999 piece, so that means that it's.
and we could file a
designated
claim
as a-
and play games with that, but I'd like it if the county did actually.
Yeah,
Well,
so-
we need
so
to have that road.
So you'd have a crossover at the North Atlantic imports piece, southern end of that, and follow the river up. Depending on conversations like this one, if that falls through, then UDOT's planning on just putting it along the highway all the way up to 17th, and then going along the south end of 17th. So the trail's gonna happen one way or the other, it's a question of can we get it along the river?
And I noticed on the Blackstone, I mean, they've already put in the widened walk along the highway. Is UDOT also developing, you know, the highway alignment as well for the trail?
That's Providence City required that trail.
Okay.
I think it's 10 feet, for UDOT would require 2 feet, so there'd have to be some work to widen that if we end up going along the highway.
Oh, I see. Okay, so that's not affiliated with the UDOT work at
Because
all.
Joe will not allow anyone to go on his property, it has to go around.
Yeah, you know, I've mentioned this before, like, a trail next to the highway is a commuting trail. It's not, you know, necessarily for
A nature trail.
scenic viewing and that sort of thing like it would be down by the river, which, you know, admittedly has many advantages, so I totally understand. I feel like, as a trail advocate, we need both, so I'm always pushing for the highway as well as
Well, our community
off-highway
has
projects.
been pretty vocal in asking for trails and walkability within our city.
Yes,
But this whole development, as we put it together, will have those components to it also. So we will have green space, we'll have walkable trails, we'll have ways for people to get back and forth. We're planning on some other bridges that will go across the river closer so that they can get over to the other side. So anything that we can do to make it more beautiful is what we want to do.
Is this housing development or, commercial?
There's mixed use.
Mixed use?
You'll have highway frontage, but you're gonna have a lot of residential in the back. And we want it to be very walkable and
The North Atlantic property, are they, developing that as well?
Oh, and they want everything to be,
they want it to be
Natural
cohesive
and
and
walkable.
nice.
But they're developing?
They're gonna develop their own campus, their own corporate campus. So I know that they're bringing in a lot of employees, I think, so.
Are some of the Weber employees coming this way? They are?
I think so.
You think so?
I'm not 100%. I know that, let's just say this, he is acquiring land to develop more of a campus, and they also want that feel of like, they want employees to live close and all that, and restaurants close, and so we're doing a mixed-use type development there. But we want the open space. We don't want to get rid of the beauty, right? Like, that's a big thing to us, so. There's a connection that goes into Blackhawk potentially too. We've talked with the HOA about connecting trail up through there by their pond. They're open to that, but one thing, I don't know if Lance hit on, is just the other trail connectivity too. This allows us to connect from Bonneville now into the Logan River Trail system if we can get all this connection. So it's just exciting. Sorry, I keep hitting on that.
It is, currently this space is kind of an island for trails, with other trails around it. And there is, the soccer complex has its own trail system that goes into neighborhoods on either side, but doesn't go anywhere from there. This is a big piece in connecting that existing trail system into Logan's, into Providence's, and into Zeddy's trail systems.
so there is another parcel. So do you have other questions for us? This is way preliminary, but again, we're planting seeds to say this is what's coming, this is what we'd like to do. We'd like you to be thinking about how you can help us create this kind of a space for the county. All of us paid into that.
Yeah, I don't have any other questions.
Okay. There is another piece that I'd like to show you that I would also like to concern. Excuse me, it's in Young Ward. And it's under South Elder Farms. It's a 10-acre piece.
Yeah, this is in a different country, so.
We should consider that too. That looks beautiful.
We should tell them what to do with their land.
Oh, the Netherlands. Nice.
No, that's,
Well,
Germany.
this is Thomas Choker. He's from Denmark.
He just came from there.
He just came from there. He's a former exchange student of mine from 30 years ago. And I'm his mom. He comes here a lot and we go over there, so.
Of all places in the world, you could put an American stamp in it.
where are you from?
Sorry?
Where are you from?
Denmark.
Denmark.
What, just curious, like in Providence City, what are your ordinances require in terms of, open space within, the mixed-use development types, that kind of thing?
We have quite a bit that's required, but we would probably do more than is required, just because we
It's
want
probably
it to
like
be beautiful.
15,
Is that
I can't remember the exact requirement, but I think we have,
okay?
That's it.
I think this plan there's 126 acres, I think like 14 or 15 would be open space.
You can make yourself really seasick with this tool. Okay, so this is a piece that is on the Mendon Road in Young Ward. So it's bounded by the red. I think at one time we probably sold, or maybe we bought it that way, but there's a farm out there right next to it. But it's a 10-acre piece. There's a well, or a spring. I think there's a spring on it.
Can you
But
zoom
this-
out just a titch?
Yeah.
Just a little bit. Thanks.
If you can do it, like I said, you can get really seasick with this. So do you know where that is? Okay, so there are houses across the street from it, but there's just the one house. the water table's really high, and I would like to conserve the space, because right now it's a pasture. It will continue to be a pasture, but why not conserve it so that it doesn't get encroached upon? It's a pretty piece.
And that's the Menden Road, Logan to
Yes.
Menden Road.
Yes.
Yeah, just-
It's from the Woodard School going west.
If we were able to conserve this, we would
3,000.
utilize this for wetlands too.
So we do wetlands mitigation with it.
So it's not gonna, it would never change, wouldn't anyway if it was conserved, but.
Are you required to do that anyway in your other project?
We're gonna have some wetlands mitigation that we'll have to do, and so that can play into it. But, yeah, no matter what, we're gonna have to navigate wetland on Providence. This does help because it's in the same watershed, so the Army Corps will work with us on the properties, actually. They'll coincide, but, yeah, it's so wet out there, and you can't do much. You can on the frontage, like you could build a couple homes on the frontage, but other than that, it's not too much for it.
Yeah, I think on all this, just be really upfront in terms of like, there's some things like the floodplain you couldn't build in anyway. So, I mean, if we're paying for stuff that, just be really,
I'm with you. I
be
totally-
really careful with this if you would, in terms of
I get it.
like,
And floodplain, just keep in mind, we can build, like, we're gonna mitigate a lot of floodplain.
but there would be costs associated with that.
100%.
Yeah.
100%.
So, yeah, I think a trail through this piece and would be awesome. I don't know, also, it's way complex, but we've talked about a Logan to Menden trail. But you can see how many landowners would need to be involved in this, in that.
It's really,
But that would, you know, if we had a bunch of landowners on board, that would be a pathway that.
and you really have to look at these like separate, right? Like,
Yeah.
they do coincide for our deal, but they're
Yeah.
separate pieces and separate considerations, so.
Okay.
Questions about that?
I don't think so.
That was pretty straightforward. Well defined.
Yeah, anything from,
There are
committee
houses
members?
on either side of that piece. So it is buildable.
Okay. All right.
Okay.
Any other questions for these guys?
Thank you. I
Yeah.
think it's very interesting.
We're happy to answer any questions that you might have subsequent to this, but as soon as we get, the appraisals and all of that kind of stuff, but, you know, should we go ahead and move forward? I'm doing the appraisal anyway, but we might have to get something separate for appraisal.
Yeah, my understanding is that conservation appraisals are different, so if you have a separate purpose for doing the appraisal, then, you know, that's your decision if you move forward. But,
Well, now's the time for me to get the guy to do this too.
It might be a different appraiser though, probably. Is it a different appraiser, or
what's that?
are they specialized appraisers?
I don't know if the people are different. My understanding is that the appraisals are actually different. Someone at the state, Jeremy Christensen, would probably know more about that.
I happen to know Jim, so.
I think as well, if you're doing a swath that we're gonna require NRCS or something involved in, then that wouldn't, I'd get a land conservation group on board on that.
Yeah, we'll get Scott.
As it sits though now, you think, we're probably gonna discuss again before, but if we did submit something, you guys are okay with the group project? We submit a conservation, not for trail.
And then everything would be delineated as to who owns what and where it would be.
Yeah, we could present a clean packet.
I mean, that makes the most sense to me.
Yeah.
But, yeah, we're still early in this process or whatever, and so this'll be a unique application, so,
There's a lot of opportunities to learn on this.
yep. Okay, well, thanks for your time and your interest.
Thank you for letting us come and present something that's kind of out there.
Okay, shall we move on to item number 5 and talk with Landis about the trail application? Do you want to give some background on that or anything, or just let Landis go for it, or?
I think Landis is okay to share it. I don't, you know.
Yes, we talked about this briefly in the past. So looking at 5 properties between Hyde Park and Smithfield. We did run brief title summaries for these properties. To the best of our knowledge, those first questions in the application are all yes. We would do a more in-depth title review as part of the next phase of this. Yeah, where we're at now, this is phase 1A of 7 total miles of trail between Green Canyon and Smithfield Canyon that we're trying to build. The construction for this is funded, we promised, is funded by the state through the Outdoor Recreation Initiative, which is a new bucket of money that the state legislature set aside 2 years ago for regional collaborative projects such as this one. So we have phase 1A funded. That's what we're asking for currently. We told the state as match, we would put in our best effort to get some local money to purchase the easement. So that we have just over $500,000 from the state to construct it. So we'd be looking for, I think, our Sunrise estimated about $26,000 to do the cost of the easement through these 5 properties.
How much?
$26,000.
So you need, that's how much you need for the match.
We have other match funding on it as well from the other cities. So that's, we told them we'd also go look
For construction and stuff.
easement acquisition as part of the match. We are chasing down additional funding right now. The state reopened some Potterville Shoreline Trail funding. This was an appropriation the legislature did back in 2021. It was all allocated several years ago, but some of the projects have fallen apart, and so there's more money back open again through that bucket of money. And we, as far as the state knows, we're the only ones with shovel-ready projects to build on. And so again, there we would need land acquisition. That can do a little bit of money on acquisition, but we would still need a match, a local match to do that land acquisition. But that's not, we haven't got that estimated yet, we're still figuring out those details. That new grant just came open.
So what's the total distance that you've got here?
So for phase 1A, it's 2 miles, and then if we add on phase 1B, which would potentially, there's this new grant open we could go after, that'd be 1.7, so almost another 2 miles.
So about 3.7 miles. And that gets us from Green Canyon to where?
So if we can do all that, there'd be one property owner in the middle that's not willing to cooperate yet. We get us from Green Canyon to the northern border of North Logan, and from the southern border of Hyde Park, all the way up into Smithfield City.
Into Smithfield City. Not quite to Smithfield Canyon, or
No,
Birch
so
Canyon.
It'd go to Dry Canyon.
Go to Dry Canyon in Smithfield.
Can we see that on the map?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah, do you have a map of it?
It's
in our
more
packet.
attractive when you look at it on a map.
Even just up here.
Scroll up again.
So with the packet I submitted, we had phase 1A included in that. That was at the time,
Slide to the
that's all we had money for to build. So phase 1B, so in the next month, if we get an application together and this looks promising, we'd probably add on phase 1B.
So, when you said 26,000, is that for the whole easement, or is that just, for participating in the easement, or is that just a portion of the easement purchase? That's the full easement,
That's the full,
okay.
a lot of it's not in buildable land.
So,
It's up on the veg, it's up on the slopes.
so in the project context, this program would be funding the easement acquisition, and then all the construction and everything else is funded from other sources. Yeah, okay, great.
And you said the
Just wanted
easement
to make sure.
acquisition for 5
For 5 properties for phase 1B, so it'd be 2 miles of
26,000.
trail with now 20-foot easement, 26,000.
Yeah.
For the next one, if we do phase 1B, there are things there where some of that's within North Logan's jurisdiction where they can require a trail easement, so probably wouldn't be the full cost would be coming to you for it, because they can probably get some of that dedicated through their ordinances. But if we had to get the whole thing through us buying it, I think the estimate was about $130-some thousand for that. That is more buildable land.
With some of it coming from one of the municipalities.
Potentially a grant. So this new, the BST funding from the state.
So you said ordinance, some of it come through ordinance.
Yeah, so some of it, so if these property owners are within North Logan's jurisdiction, they want to develop North Logan.
Okay, I got it, I got it.
To dedicate. Some of them we do want to develop, so that would probably be a donation to the city. Some of them might not, and then we'd have to buy that easement from them.
Okay, so, landowners on that second phase aren't all coordinated quite yet.
Not yet, so phase 1B is throwing it out there, don't know if we'll be back in a month ready for it. We still have things to figure out, but it's moving now, this grant opened up this morning, so if we can get our ducks in a row, we want to strike on that as quick as we could. So all of them are open to it, a couple of them were still iffy, but they want to develop, so they have to dedicate the land anyway. And the ones that we're not sure they want to develop, they are on board with the trail. So it's, I can't say 100% it's a green light, but it's pretty close to a green light. Phase 1A, all 5 landowners are excited for the trail and we want it.
And you say there's one landowner, what's that gap that we're gonna have?
Right. A little farther south, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's on that map. Yeah.
It's right in North Logan County.
Yeah, so there's one county remainder that's not been annexed into North Logan or Hyde Park, and so far they've been a no. There's some rumor that Hyde Park has that they're gonna want to annex in, and that it could be part of this project, but right now they told us that they're no on the project.
There's an older couple that owns it, and they don't want anyone on their property essentially, but they're willing to establish set points, right, Landis? Sorry, I'm not trying to, I just am more involved than I'd like to be. Because we've been pushing them to bring it into our project in Hyde Park. But what will happen is organically it will come. And so like, when they pass away, it's gonna come. It's gonna come anyway, because people are just connecting and going through the property anyway, so.
And yeah, people are already walking it. And worst case scenario, there are potentially ways to work kind of around the outskirts of their property and still get a connection. It's just we're gonna wait to see how it all plays out before we can.
And I just want to bolster Landis, I promise I'll shut up after this one. But the state is pushing us hard, and we were able to get a grant from the state for trail up there on Bonneville Shore. We can do more in the valley with those type of funds, and we can build more trail per linear foot. Like, the numbers are like exponential compared to Salt Lake or anywhere else in the state. So, the state loves it up here, right? Like, they want to focus, and they want this Bonneville Shoreline connection.
Yeah, as soon as they knew this funding would open up again from the BST funding legislature, I was their first call, because they knew that we're ready to go, and that we're probably the best bet to get that money spent. That's been sitting there now for 4 years. So, they want to strike on it just as much as we do.
We've got supportive citizens too.
Landis, I noticed in the application paperwork, you're looking for an easement width 15 to 20 feet. Are you not able to get 20 feet on the whole thing?
That was an estimate based on what constructions look like already, and they've been able to do it within 15 to 20 feet. So 20 feet would be like the max we would need for construction.
Yeah, I mean, my point there is like, in my work, like, I wouldn't go less than 20 feet. Like, I think you should always, I think you should strive to get 20 feet. throughout the whole thing, and I think that'll be important. So if there's anything less than 20 feet that you're running into with your landowners or whatever, I think that'll be important to point out. Any other questions for Landis?
I think it's exciting to expand the Bonneville shoreline.
Yeah, it's great to see this coming along, and I mean, if we can do every 2 miles for 25,000, we can do a lot of trail. So that's a surprisingly low number to me, anyway.
Yeah,
So,
the state's been pretty serious with the UDOT funding. We talked about the last application and with this ORI funding, where they're willing to put up the bulk of the construction costs. They're just looking to locals to do preliminary design, property acquisition.
Yeah.
If we can do that half of it, they're basically willing to fund the rest of it.
Yeah, to be able to go and tell them we got the land.
shovel ready.
Yeah, they'll give us the money.
Yeah.
So it's a strategy that's working, and yeah, both these projects are evidence that
Well.
we can get our ducks in a row. There's lots of money to be had to build these trails.
Thank you, Landis, and also the municipalities that have been involved in that.
Yeah, it's been a great collaboration. Thank you.
Okay. Next item is pick up where we left off on our gateway discussion, right? Did you have anything you wanted to touch on first, Brandon, or should we let Eric jump in here? Or?
I don't have anything myself.
Okay.
Hey, you did get it.
Yeah, I did.
Okay, I figured that might be easier if I
Just gotta get it maximized, that'll take a minute.
rather than hooking my computer up to it. So that's on your personal computer, not on the main one there?
Yeah, it's on my laptop, but if you want.
Okay. All right, I'll, I guess I could, yeah, I was hoping sorry, I didn't mean to be driving on your computer. Oh, is it, which mouse, is it right here?
No, it's just my trackpad.
Okay.
That's an extra screen for this.
This one, this sheet's relatively easy. This one, we didn't spend a lot of time on. This is coming through the gate, the Sardine Canyon, the landowners. I highlighted ones that are visible and that aren't aware of the
program.
may not be aware of the program.
Okay.
So with these, I would suggest that we would include these in a mailing to make them aware of the program. And
this is in the upper gateway?
this goes from the Cache County border of Sardine Canyon
Yeah.
to where you come down between MGT properties on the north
Okay.
and the U.S.
So
Forest
to the
Service
mouth.
on the south.
Mouth of the canyon.
Yeah.
But
It doesn't-
not down into the valley.
right.
Yeah, that's
This
what
is- this is not coming to the
I was
mouth.
just making that distinction.
So and the idea is to get a mailing list. So here we're looking about 10 people that we would mail to
Okay.
with the approval of the council.
Okay.
There are two properties, two landowners here that actually come up on the one that comes down into the valley, and that's Dixie Neves. They come up multiple times there. So by the way, total emails are actually the last, or mailers are less, because there's duplicates here.
Yeah.
And Blue Mountain also owns some of the land that you see as you come out of the valley. Out of the canyon. So then, is this enlarged? I've got it's being viewed,
Yeah.
not opened in Excel.
Correct. I can download it and open it.
Yeah, because I've got another tab that, so
That makes sense, yeah.
On the next tab, what I've got is, I went through
That's for more the valley floor.
the valley floor, and there's two things I captured with it. One, I captured everything, not every, along the highway. The
Yes.
properties along the highway that allow you to look to a deeper level.
Yeah,
And then I also picked up the large landowners that are visible, that you see. And so, of the land that you visibly see there on that on that view shed, it represented 1/3 of the properties that were in the mix. Thank you. Can you go to the second tab? The agricultural entrance narrow. So 2,300 acres, and if we go to the top there, starting with this is just sorted by the largest. So you've got 5M Farms, Parker Family Farms. You'll notice both of those are quite large. And then the list gets to much smaller properties fairly quickly.
yep,
It is really fragmented. It's a lot more fragmented out there than I thought, but some of these are pretty contiguous. And then as you get into this small one, I do go down to a couple that are smaller, 5.5 acres, but they are view shed properties. And if you can't see,
they're like right on the highway.
they're right on the highway, and they've got openness to see beyond them. So there's a gentleman that is lives out in this area.
Not that area, but,
He's not on the list.
you know.
Nearby.
What?
I said not on the list, but nearby.
Yeah, nearby, yeah, yeah.
But
We live between Nibley and Hiram, off of 1500 West. And it's pretty much all farmland, you know, and it's going fast for development. But on the US side of 1500, there's all these, well, smaller pieces, like 8 or 9, but it all ties into Utah State University land. And it's got the best views. It's the heart of Cache Valley as far as I'm concerned.
yeah, and so
And so when you're looking at this, I mean, you're just in the canyon and off the road. But this piece here is much different. I mean, this area is much different than anything else you see.
this is in the swath of what we were talking about. I want to address this just a little bit. We were looking at the large. The large Utah State is not on here simply because they're different. They're not a private owner. Thank you.
Right, yeah. But I'm just saying is,
But
when you put this in conservation, even these smaller pieces or maybe larger pieces, you know, they may be around a long time, you know, anyway, right?
yeah. So you know, we had those properties on our original list. For Brandon's sake and other, we were looking for a narrowed down list. That doesn't mean we're not interested. The thing is it's hard to, a conservation, you'd have to look at the conservation easement very different. In other words, there'd need to be a lot of owner contribution to it. Because
Right, and don't you go like appraise it and then
Yeah.
the lower end and
Right.
somewhere work it, you know, within the middle.
so
somewhere,
NRCS, for
some
example,
kind of thing, you
yeah.
know? And, you know, area, which you probably none of you have seen, so it's hard to, you guys envision what it really looks like, you know, but it's got, you know, sandhill cranes, just like the lady said, but it's got, you know, whiteface ibis, and you know, they come in by the hundreds during the irrigation season. There's hawks everywhere this time of year around in this general area.
Yeah.
So for wildlife, for the scenic view of what I call the Grand Tetons, you know, to me, is the Wellsvilles, you know.
Yeah.
And it's unobstructed, and when you take photographs of it, and you don't even know, you see houses or developments or anything.
Yeah.
So that's my selling point of this
Yeah.
particular area.
Well, and it's not that we wouldn't look at those areas in this mix. what I'm saying with that is there's other places that contribute to this, they're just
Right, and.
smaller pieces.
Yeah, I've heard you guys really been concentrating up Sardine and, down from there, and, I really don't know what the goal is for conservation, but,
Well,
and then for us, it's like right now, there's 50 acres that have been annexed into, or almost finished being annexed into Nibley. Another 60 acres just south of that has just probably gonna be sold here soon too. So the opportunity to hit up these people about conservation, if they're interested or not interested, but these smaller, parcels of land, people might go, wow, yeah, it's 6 acres, 10 acres, 15 acres, 20, like for Zollinger, Jim, he's got 20 acres, but it's been in the family for 100 years, some of this property, so.
Yeah.
It's one of these things it's got some value to it. And I'm not sure where the value is of all these other pieces are, for
Yeah.
wildlife or for historical or for whatever.
Well, these are specifically, we were looking at Gateway for this.
Well, that's what
for
I
this
mean, I
stuff.
know, that's fine, I just.
And there are a number that you actually see from there.
I just came here to just throw something out,
Right.
really, because,
Yeah.
I just, I see it every day, and it's, it's actually the heart of Cache Valley that's left, I think, so.
So, I don't know if there's questions on this list or thoughts on this list.
I like it. I think I would love to just get started at some point, right, on some outreach work. My only thing to, bring up with the committee members is that, well, a couple things. It just reminds me, because we're working through this discussion, so just so you all know, the new council went through and looked at their council members' responsibilities and duties and stuff like that. And so there's a transition from Councilwoman Buse to the new council member. Keegan, thank you, Garrity. So Councilman Garrity is going to be our liaison to the council, and this is his first position with the county council. So we'll have a new representative with us. And there's been a few council members ask me questions about this. And I know that there are a couple of council members who have a perspective of we shouldn't be targeting certain landowners to benefit them, kind of thing. So we're going to get that sort of argument. And so I think we want to make sure, and I think you've been heading in the right direction, that the letter does a good job of briefly explaining that, this is a program that everybody's can apply to. We're just letting you know about the program, and hope if you are interested, you'll reach out with some additional questions, right? Which I think it says that, but I'm just heads up. I think there's going to be some questions, and they definitely want to review the letter.
Yeah.
And what we're proposing to do before we do it. So I don't know if anybody else has heard anything different, but that's what I've been hearing.
That's helpful.
Yeah.
I may have reached out to a council member to help me, and I may have touched the wrong one.
Yeah, it's possible. So we should just, let's move
That
forward
was just
with
one.
that in mind, like.
Yeah. And
We
and
need to be
I haven't-
prepared to push back on that, like,
I
we're
haven't
not
done
trying
anything
to.
with that, the letter, it seemed like Claire kind of had that kind of, moving along. I would like that we, take this to the council at the next meeting. Is that
To
possible?
the next council meeting?
I don't know, what's your thoughts?
I think they just want to know when we want to try to get in there, and they'll get back to us on when we can be on their agenda, right?
Yeah, I'll speak with Dirk, our interim director, see how he wants to handle it.
Okay. And we can explain what we're doing, how we started, and
They're gonna wanna see like a draft of the
Okay.
letter.
we do have the one draft. I don't know, was there some specifics we wanted to? I'm trying to recall the major changes to that.
I didn't have any major changes
No,
to it. I thought it was fine.
yep, it was pretty standard language. I don't think it made any promises, which I think is what we need to
Yeah.
avoid.
So perhaps we just, if we can get on the if it's before we meet again with that, maybe we circulate an open thing among ourselves, just to, if there's any refinement before we propose it, but can we do it that way?
Yeah, I think that would be
Okay.
great.
Yeah, I do think it would be good to get this motion because I thought the proposals, applications today were great, but we still have a lot more that can be done.
I'm gonna go, but here's, from our place, just to give you an idea what it looks like, you know, from our
Yeah.
place. Yeah, you know.
I do know, yep.
There you go, just the icon design.
Your,
I'm
your
not-
Christmas card this year,
No,
that's
this wasn't my
perfect.
Christmas card this year, but it was, that was probably another one, but, yeah, well, I think you guys are doing great, you know, just.
We'll talk to your neighbors and that.
Well, I have talked to two, and like I said, they're open to learning more, you know, and that right there is 30, and I'm 40 acres, right, you know, they're not as big as what you're looking at the big boys there, I think, I guess. But
Well,
she's
we're not ruling out anybody.
That's for sure.
good. What's that?
We're not ruling out anybody.
No, that's good. Let me see, I'll just show you one more maybe, but.
Yeah, well, we probably need to.
I did receive, so on Friday, Andrew Erickson with the county, is he attorney?
He's one of the staff
Policy,
members.
staff members
Yeah.
emailed me asking for a copy of the letter.
Okay.
So, yeah, let's.
And how did he know of the letter? Was that something you notified him of, Brandon?
I'm not sure, it may, Dirk and I have.
Catherine
talked
talked
about
to
the
her.
letter, so
Catherine
Dirk
talked to
and I
her.
have talked,
Okay.
I don't know.
Yep, they want to run it through the legal department.
Yeah, that's another thing I wanted to bring up, is that we still need to work with legal on that, see what their thoughts, if there's that strategy.
So I think if we have a draft of the letter that we like, we'll send it to these folks and
Yeah.
then work to get on the agenda with the council.
Yeah, and I think the thought isn't to end here either. I mean, I think there's other gateways and other places. It's like,
Or other.
but I think this work would help us to get to. Oh, I need to bring up one other thing that I discovered. I went to these are the nearer ones, not the ones that are really, really far from that gateway.
Yeah.
But there was two that were really interesting. And if you could go up to the top of this list, you might have to say enable editing. And change that little filter there, right, the filter under B, in B1.
Right here?
Yep. Yeah, you're gonna have to enable editing, I think, to do this.
It's more of a distance issue right now. I'm trying to see what's.
Yeah, go ahead and
See you
expand
guys
it.
later.
I think you're there now.
Thank you.
Thanks, buddy.
Yeah, see you guys.
Now, yeah, with that, hit Y there.
Bottom right?
Yep, right there.
Sorry, I can barely see it from here, so.
These two properties are between Hiram and Nibley. If I'm going from Hiram coming to Logan, Justin brought these properties up a couple of times. They're the ones that if you look left as you're leaving Hiram coming down the hill, they give you that open view all the way to the Wellsfields. So they didn't match that proximity, but they're pretty interesting And it's an 80, the one that's closest is, 88 acres. Between them, it's 160 acres to give you a view from Hiram to the Wellsvilles, and also separate communities, give a break between communities. So that might be, I would recommend that we'd include them in a list, but I wanted to throw that out. I kept those separate because they were.
I don't have any problem with
No,
that.
it's okay.
I think it's great. Yeah.
It's the type, I think, as we look around the valley, that we would be interested in. It matches the farm that came in between Smithfield and Hyde Park, for example.
Yeah.
So I'll compile those as addresses at this point then.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, what else? Anything else from you, Brandon?
No, we'll just, like I said, talk to legal about the letter and get back to you on that. Like, I don't have anything other than that, so,
Okay.
it sounds like he's, with the application with the Seth Alder Farm, I sent an email saying that we'd have a staff report for March, but it sounds like she's may not be ready, depending on what she does, so, just heard comments about it being preliminary and stuff, so.
Yeah.
And that was our normal process, is to have this type of meeting prior to an application anyway.
Right, I mean, I think she's gonna have to, they are gonna have to define what the proposal is, right?
Yeah.
And then submit the application.
Yeah.
For the other one, is there a timeline? I know that,
For the trail easement?
yeah, it said that they were hoping to have it start construction in 2025, so do we need to move quicker on that?
Landis, that's something that we'll have to probably talk about what their, what their timeframe is, and we can work with them to get, details and whatnot.
Yeah, the next step is staff report, and we would, unless you need it sooner, I guess we would presumably have a staff report for the next meeting.
I think
March.
so, yeah.
On which one?
March 3rd, for the trail application,
The Bonneville one.
yeah.
We're kind of in limbo now because of the potential for phase 1B. Would probably take a month till we know where that one's at and get application to that one. So that's, we do want to get the trail built this summer to show the state that their investment is a good investment and that we are able to get these projects done. So I don't know what timeline that would put us at.
Is there not a reason just to wrap up phase 1A with the landowners to get those easements before?
Yeah, I think we for sure go for phase 1A. For
Yeah, I
time's
don't-
sake, if we are
yeah.
ready to go on phase 1B in a month from now, I'd throw that one in too, just to get both of them moving. But either way, we're definitely gonna come back with phase 1A.
But we could be relatively quick with your approval process if that helps you.
And we have 2 years to get the money spent. We really want to show the state that we can get these projects done in a year and hope to get more money coming our way.
Okay, well, we'll anticipate the first round application review and action by the committee on our March 3rd one, for at least 1A, and if you got the information in sooner, we'd include 1B too, but I don't think we care. I mean, it can come separately and that's fine. And
You're so far along this, it's gonna be,
Right.
we're in an easy phase, not a difficult phase, so.
yeah, and I think,
Did we
you're-
define this as like multiple phases on this one?
on trails,
On trails? I can't
I
remember.
thought there was a first and
I
second
think
round.
it's the same, we made it
Okay.
mirror the other one.
And you've been to all of our meetings, so you kind of know how these things go. Like, our schedule is once a month unless, you know, there's pending action or whatever. And so if we need to meet sooner than our once a month, you know, as an applicant, just let us know and we'll schedule an interim meeting in between our regular monthly meetings or whatever if we need to keep things rolling, but.
Yeah, my biggest concern is you lose a landowner in the process of,
For, you know, the phase 1A, they're already excited about it.
I'm just saying, if someone dies or something, it's like,
I think that's a good buy. I don't want to wish that.
Anything can happen.
anything can happen.
No,
It's real estate.
That's really true.
Okay.
Death is a big player.
Okay. Committee members, anything else you want to chat about or anything? I think productive meeting, so we'll look forward to having our other members back at our next meeting, hopefully. And if there's nothing else, without objection, we'll stand adjourned. So, thank you. Thanks for coming.
Against this.
what's interesting,
You know,
land.
of course. What's that? Yeah. No, I think their perspective is, you know, want to favor somebody. That's not what we're.
It's almost the exact, like, there's no cat and game, other than it benefits the most cash value residents because they go for it or they go home.
And I think they would understand that, but they would also.
I mean, that's why he's going after Sardinia, so is that benefiting him?
For sure. Yeah. Yeah, and yeah. Letter and also strong advocates for.
Now, did you go to California recently?
No, I have a connection north and down there.
So it was good meeting. I went to the meeting and they asked me to come.
Why not bring in another ship?
What's that?
They come in 8-pound bags,
Oh, yeah.
$12. Bunch of ships that come